Imagine a planet of little TJ lasers, all highly skilled in weapons and biotic tactics, with me as absolute ruler. If you don't want to be a part of this incredible vision, then you can get a space taxi back to Planet Idiot.
I'm TJ Laser, expert with lasers and phasers. That's the
everyone, and welcome to round number 5 of the WCR Tier 2 F1 2019 Championship. This is Ruben Reisberg-Miner with you guys, and today we are going to the Spanish Grand Prix. The circuit to Barcelona, Catalonia, 4.6 kilometers, 16 turns per lap are going to be repeated 33 times this afternoon. Look into action into turn 1. Most of it is going to come into turn 1 after the long DRS straight, and of course into the second DRS straight if anyone has any mistakes out of the tricky turn 9. In terms of the tire strategies, the most popular will be the one-stop, medium hard, or hard medium, unless something happens and you are forced into the two-stop. Comenzo leads the championship 7 points ahead of Spax Gamer with Pika in P3, Friagioco in second, Ferrari with Rocky Covaclora in 5th. Then we have Jensen exiting to Evil Killy as Frankie Pie closes the top 10. Then we have Row 1 point behind, Lil Johnny 12th over speed, then FSKS, Jonah Ray as Ray Rick, and all other drivers haven't scored any points so far in these championships. So with that, let's get ourselves going to the qualifying session, just sorting everything out on my second monitor and going to get ourselves started with the qualifying session. Of course, qualifying session very important at this track because statistically over 80% of all races at this track have been won from the front row. So let's see how it goes this afternoon. We have a few cars out there already. We have both Renaults out on track. Just going to try to find out who is the one ahead of this train. Is that Toro Rosso? Not sure. No, the Toro Rosso, is that Evil Kiwi? No, it's not Evil Kiwi. Trying to figure out who that guy is, because I'd like to go on board with him. Yeah, I can't really figure out who that is. Okay, I guess we're going to stick with Stinko then. Yellow is in the way. I honestly couldn't figure out who that was, because Yellow was in the way. Okay, never mind then. We're going on board with Tinko for our first flying lap. A good exit is needed out of turn 16. Mode number 5 of DRS. DRS wide open at the back of the Alfa Romeo, up through the gears as you wait patiently for the left meter marker signs. 100 meters away from the corner, you go hard on the brakes, even braking on top of the curb to give you best angle possible into turn 1. Now up through the gears, through the very long turn 3. Not everyone can risk going full throttle through it, especially on the hardest of tire compounds. Down through the gears once again, down to 4th for the medium speed right-hander of turn 4. Now much slower corner, this one turn 5, even downhill on the braking zone. Maybe that corner can catch someone out. Now we get ourselves through turn 7 and 8. Very tricky sequence of corners. You saw there Tinko having a bit of struggle with it before the tricky turn 9 campsite. You just throw the car into it, maximum commitment, and waiting for the car to stick to the road on the other side. Heavy on the brakes at the end of the second DRS zone into turn 10. Now uphill through a spot that can also unsettle the car very easily. That massive curve of turn 11. So now through turn 12, and now downhill through 13, pulling the car to the right hand side to get a better angle of approach to the chicane of 14 and 15. Now smooth on the power you must be as you get under acceleration through turn 16. The DRS wide open, and it's going to be a 120.2 provisory pole position for him. Iggy gets a new provisory pole with a 120.0. And we have Hammer Time, the reserve driver of the Renault, debuted at Baku with a 5th place finish and is going to abort his lap. So I'm not quite sure who is closest to finishing the lap now, but nonetheless we have Fragiocco, the Italian, getting a bit wide there at the turn 9 as Evil Kiwi gets himself through the line with a 120.0. Comenzo with the new fastest lap with a 118.8. For the McLaren driver. Every single race he has attended, he has won. He won at Australia, didn't attend Bahrain and China, came back to Azerbaijan to take the win, and is taking a very promising pole time right now at Spain with a 118.8. Bika gets P2 with a 119.5. Let's see what Fragiocco does. Gets himself invalidated. We have one of the Toro Rossos, that is Jensen, getting a 121.8. As we have Frankie Pie and Spax Gamer about to complete their laps. Frankie Pie is still in the second sector. Spax Gamer is closer to finishing his lap. We have FSKS on an outlap of his own and Hammer Time on the pits at this point. Let's see what the Ferrari does. Get himself through the gears coming out of the last corner. Not really pushing it in terms of the ERS deployment. Nonetheless, got 6th place on the soft. So maybe that's why he wasn't pushing it. Maybe he just wants to get a couple laps of practice in the softs before going out there on a set of mediums, or perhaps even the what's the name, on a set of mediums, or maybe even on hards. Frankie Pie is on hards, speaking of them, is going himself through the last corner. Open the RS at the end of it, going to cross over the line. It's going to be a 119.9, which was invalidated, so he's not going to get above 16th place. FSKS just started his flying lap, so let's see what he does. We have a few cars who have opted to go for a second flying lap. People like Bika, like Jonah, like Iggy, who are now composing the top 4. Then we have Evil Kiwi in the pits. Then Ray in 6th place, so good lap there from the Spaniard. Danny Coe, his teammate, who is a reserve driver, is in 8th for the time being. So at this point, a double points or a double top 10 for the Williams. They who haven't scored any points so far, because Blackbird, who was at one point leading the championship, Blackbird got promoted to the first tier of WCR, so now the Williams are left scoreless. They're going to get the Racing Point driver through the last chicane. Looks smooth. Let's see how it goes on the power application. Some drivers actually go to the outside curb. Maybe FSKS is scared of the lack of traction there. Nonetheless, gets himself through the line with a 120.8. Gets P12 for the time being. That does the job. And looking, we have Comanzo in the pits on a set of mediums. Looks like he's going to give a late push on the mediums. We have Evil Kiwi opting for the softs. I would say that's not really the way to go at this track, because you just lose too much time going for the two-stop strategy. But nonetheless, Evil Kiwi is out there on a set of softs as Bika closes his third lap. His fastest so far is a 119.5, so couple tenths to gain, to say the least. A bit of work to do if he wants to catch up to Comanzo. Going to find out later on how that one is going. Apparently Bika also had more fuel, so that might influence things. You have Evil Kiwi getting himself done with his outlap. In the meantime, Ray and Danny, 7th and 8th, they are still going out there on laps, so someone moved up to push Ray down to 7th, as FKS is out of the session. Not sure what happened there, but he is out of the session. So you have Jensen in the second sector, you have Fragioco in turn 9, we have Evil Kiwi at the chicane. So it is those three drivers who are going for flying laps to try and actually post a lap time. Let's see how it goes, as Izzy is also in the meantime out on the track. We have Evil Kiwi started with this lap, the runner-up from last season. This time around he is teammates with the reigning driver champion from last season, Jensen. The Dane is currently in, can't quite find him. Jensen is in P13. Evil Kiwi had a much better opening flying lap. Let's see what he does now. Let's see what improvement he gets now on the softs. He's actually pushing for it, so it looks like he's actually going to start the race on the softs. Try to get out of the chaos of the first opening of the first corners by being as further up the field as he can. As he finishes sector 2, an improvement of basically 8 tenths. It gets now uphill on the approach to turns 11 and 12. Very long this one. You must be smooth on the power as well. Don't really want to have the rear lose out on you. As Blue has left the session, not sure if he got disconnected or something. He was in the pit, he's on his garage, on his pit lane. So let's see how that one goes. And Kiwi is actually going to abort his lap. So he's not looking to start the race on a set of sorts. He's going to abort his lap. In the meantime, we had Fragioco out there. Jensen is a little bit further behind. Yes, he is. So we have the Ferrari close to completing his flying lap. The Italian, who for the first time got a podium at Azerbaijan. Second place for the Ferrari driver as he does a spin. He spun out, coming out of the last corner. He's on the gravel. He needs to rejoin safely. Jensen must not be too far behind. Hopefully there's no incident between the Toro Rosso and the Ferrari. Fragiocchi is still pulled off to the side, and Jensen gets P2. What a lap from Jensen, getting himself up to P2 with a 1:19.5. But yeah, scary moment there from Fragiocchi. Managed to keep the car out of the barriers, but nonetheless, that was a scary moment indeed from him. In the meantime, we have Rocky out there on a flying lap on the softs. Not sure if he's actually going to commit to those. We also have Iggy getting himself is a flying lap towards the end. He's on mode 0 VRS. Not sure if he's actually going for it anymore. Looks like he's going to take it to the pits, so a mistake at some point. Pika still in P3. Jonah still in the pits. We have Spax Gamer on the hard tires on a flying lap, getting himself now to turn number 12. He's close to closing out his lap. We're going to take a look at Frankie Pie. He's a bit further behind. I'm going to check up on him later on. Going to be Spax Gamer, Rocky, and Frankie closing out their laps soon. The Ferrari gets himself to the line, and it is P3 on a set of medium, on hards rather, with a 1:19.2. Very competitive lap time from him, but still about 3/10 away or 5/10 away from pole position, so he needs to get a bit quicker if he wants to get up there. As we have Rocky going back to the pit, so aborting his lap on the softs, and Frankie Pie with provisory pole. Look at that, 1:18.2, demolishing Comanzo's fastest lap so far. Of course, Comanzo's lap was done on the hards, so now the McLaren is looking to respond, as getting himself up through turn 9, opening the RS at the exit of it. It's a little bit wide there, not sure if the game is going to give him a lap nullification. Nonetheless, we have only him out there, and it is Blue on the Haas who is going to start his flying lap soon. Nonetheless, we have Comanzo getting up, preparing to go downhill. He was going uphill, now on the downhill into turn 14 and 15. Very smooth through the chicane, getting up through the gears. Now the RS is going to be wide open. It's going to cross over the line. It's going to be a 1:17.9. New provisory pole for the McLaren driver. Only driver so far to lap below the 1:18. So let's see how it goes later on for them, as we have Blue about to start his flying lap. He has Spax Gamer behind him, who I imagine is going to the pits. So let's go on board with the Haas driver. He's about to get his lap done. Blue, who hasn't scored any points so far, is currently in P10, so not too bad at all, but he hasn't scored any points so far. He hasn't been able to attend quite a few of our races, and when he did, he couldn't do better than 11th at the Chinese Grand Prix. So 0 points so far for the German. Let's see what he does. He's currently improving, so theoretically he is within the 1:19s at this point on the mediums. Let's see how he gets now through turn number 5, dropping a wheel there on the curve. Gets smoothly from the corner though, getting himself now uphill to corner 7 and 8. And let's see how committed he is through turn 9. Could have turned in a little bit earlier, I would say. Nonetheless, looked smooth. The car maintained itself balanced as he finishes now the sector 2 with almost an 8/10 improvement to, compared to his previous fastest lap. So let's see how it goes for the German. So you have a bunch of cars going out there in quick succession to start their out laps. Blue getting now through the chicane, looks a bit slower. Nonetheless, it's getting away from it. Turn 16 finished. DRS wide open at the back, and it's going to be P3 for the time being for the Haas driver with a 1:18.5. Let's see how his rivals respond. Let me take a look real quick. And see, as Hammer Time just started his flying lap. Jonah is at turn 9. Iggy a little bit further up. Kiwi in the first sector. Ray about to start. Danny about to get through the third sector as well. So it would be Hammer Time, then Tinko, then Ray, and then we'll figure them out as they start coming through the start-finish straight. So, Hammer Time, our reserve driver, debuted at Azerbaijan, got a very nice 5th place, the American driver. So let's see, currently 7th place. Of course, some of his rivals have already done laps on the mediums. So let's see what can the United States of America driver do this afternoon. To qualifying, a bit of a mistake there. Camps are going quite wide, having to lift off considerably, and he's actually not improving, and it looks like he might, yeah, he's going to abort his lap. We're going to take a look at Tinko, who is next up. Let's see how it goes for them, as the Alfa Romeo driver is at the moment in P13. Of course, he has finished in the top 5 only once at China with a 4th place. Azerbaijan was 8th place finish, and those were the only 2 occasions where the Alfa Romeo driver got himself on the points. Let's see what he does this time, getting himself through the line. There is an improvement, but no improvement on the table, as it looks like his lap was invalidated. Ray is on mode 0 OVRS, so I guess he made a mistake somewhere along the way and is going to give it pins now. Comanzo is in the pits on softs, not sure if he's going to actually use them though. Jonah is also going slowly, so a mistake causing him to abort his lap. Iggy misses the braking point completely into turn 10. Evil Kiwi and Danny are on the flying lap. Danny moves up to P5 with a 1:18.8. As we have a couple more drivers going out there on out laps. Evil Kiwi is going to be the next one, I would say, to get his lap done. Jonah completes his lap, but without an improvement. Let's see what Kiwi does, as he's also on mode 0 on ERS, so most drivers aborting their laps. This might get confusing at the end of it. Nonetheless, we have Spax Gamer already started with his lap. Comanzo is on out lap on the softs. If Comanzo is actually going there on the softs, that would be quite surprising. Blue in the meantime is on the pits with softs selected, but his fastest lap was on the mediums. Yeah, that's what I wanted to know, as Jensen is out of the session. Not sure what happened there, but Jensen is out of the session. Not sure if he crashed. We have yellow flags in sector 3, so I imagine that was a crash. FSCAS is also out, so maybe a collision between the two of them. Not sure though. Spax Gamer is going to get himself on the last couple corners of the Spanish layout. Let's see what time he ends up with. He has a Red Bull closely behind him, so it is Rocky who is about to get done with his out lap. But yeah, let's see what Ferrari does. Getting himself through the last couple corners. Spax Gamer, who was on a top 5 run, P3 at Australia, P4 at Bahrain, P3 at China, but had a retirement last time out at Azerbaijan. P3 goes for Spax Gamer, about 300ths of a second away from Frankie Paez. The checkered flag is shown to him, also shown to Blue. Wasn't able to start his fastest lap as he was in the pits, I believe. Comanzo is going for his lap, not sure if he's actually going to pull through with it. We have Rocky already started with his flying lap. We have Danny also retiring. We have Evil Kiwi moving up to P7. Bika currently through the second sector, approaching turn 9 now on his Haas. As we had someone else cross the line, I believe it was Hammer Time, pulling himself up to P8. Tinko gets himself up to P10 as he completes his lap as well. And is Rocky closer to the end? Rocky is closer to the end than Bika, so let's follow the Hungarian. No, actually not. That was an angle. It looked like to me like he was at turn 12, but no, it was at turn 9 only. Let's see how he does now. Bika getting himself now to turn 16. DRS about to be opened. Mode number 4 of DRS on the back of his car, and it is P6 for Bika at the moment. Let's see if Rocky does better than that. He who is coming himself now to the last corner. Comanzo has aborted his lap back into the pits. Was the McLaren driver. Let's see what the Hungarian does. Going to cross over the line. P14 only. That's disappointing, I would say, for the Hungarian driver. Who, yeah, he only got P14 this time around. and it is quite disappointing. I would expect him to be doing better than that. Maybe he's not too comfortable with this track, or maybe he just had a mistake that cost him a lot of time. Nonetheless, that is it for the session. A lot of drivers nullifying their last 2 laps. Confused me a little bit, nonetheless. Just waiting for the game to realize that qualifying session is done and dusted. We're going to jump onto the results in a couple seconds time, and we're going to take a look at if there are any penalties, because I'm not sure if FSKS and Jensen had a crash together. I didn't see any race control messages about any penalties, but both were out of the session quickly, so I'm not sure if they collided with each other. So, we have Comanzo on pole, 3/10 away from Frankie Pie, very close from 2nd to 4th, very close between them, exactly 500ths of a second separating 2nd to 4th, as we have Jonah in P5, Bika in P6, Blue P7, Evil Kiwi P8, Elmer Time in P9, and Danny closes the top 10, as Ray starts from 11th, followed by Tinko, Jensen, Rocky, Iggy, and FSKS, as of course Ray downwards are going to be the drivers to be able to have a choice of tires, a free choice of tires for the start of the race. And I just noticed that there was less than a second separating P1 to P10, and even P11 Ray wasn't too far off of P10. It was just a couple hundredths of a second. So yeah, the pack itself is very competitive. Of course, Comanzo, I think from each driver, I think Comanzo was the only driver to get over 2/10 gap over the car behind. Of course, can't take that to the car ahead because he was on pole, but I think he was the car that was the further away from the car directly behind. So it is quite close, the pack today, as we are about to get ourselves started with the formation lap for the Spanish Grand Prix. So while we wait, we're going to talk about strategy. So I guess the most popular strategy will be the one stop, as we have mediums to hards pitting at lap 14, or the reverse, hards to mediums pitting at lap 20. But if someone gets involved in any chaos, to say the least, in the opening corners or opening laps, you can go soft, medium, medium, or in this case medium, soft, medium, right, if you had to compromise your strategy. Or you can also go soft, hard, soft by pitting at lap 7 and then at lap 26 for a short run on the softs later on the race, while your rivals mostly have worn out tires and also harder tires. So quite a few drivers taking a while to load. Interestingly enough, FSKS, Spax Gamer, Fragioco, and Rocky are having issues. Not sure. I hope they didn't all lost connection at the same time, because that will make us only a 12 driver grid, and that's not what you'd like to be. I'm actually not sure if we are going to restart the lobby if they aren't able to connect. It's not a fault of their own. It's not really the internet issues. It's just that the game sometimes just decides not to put you through the loading screen, and that's nice. That's nice indeed. But yeah, we're still waiting for the time being. Unfortunately, you guys can see on your screens, you notice the strip on the track, on the pit lane. Ray has left the session, and yeah, Kiwi has also left. I am guessing we are going to have a restart of the lobby. Yeah, we are going to have our lobby restarted soon. I'm going to get an invitation for the new lobby soon. But yeah, as you guys were seeing there at the pit lane, the strip with the numbers and the driver's initials doesn't change dynamically in the same way the name boards above your garage does, which is, it should be a great touch if the track also changed, because if I'm not mistaken, when you create your avatar, it also asks you to get initials of your name, right? It tells you to get like 3 letters to be the initials. It's just that it doesn't show up anywhere because you don't have an F1 like an actual broadcast type overlay that would display the initials. So I don't know where the hell would the initials be displayed when you create your career mode avatar and when you get to race with it and when you get to create those initials. I'm not sure where the game intends to put them because I've never seen them, but nonetheless, I'm going to get ourselves, I believe there is a new lobby now, and I'm going to try and join. Where is oh, Evil Kiwi actually went out of the game. So I guess I must wait a little bit longer. I'm going to the Discord of the league to get more information. Oh, Evil Q is having... He was the host and he just got... Steam just decided to troll him. So that's why it's offline of Steam. But yeah, I'm not sure if he's going to be the host of the lobby again or if he's... again today or if anyone else is going to get that one. Let's see though. I can listen to the game and I've been brought to the lobby, but yeah, I would really like to know. I'm the only one on the lobby actually, I think, but yeah, I'm going to leave the multiplayer session. But yeah, just going to wait real quick until we get a new lobby. I'm going to ask them if Evil is going to be hosting the new lobby. Okay, I guess we are going to... Okay, so I got information from our Discord server, and what we are going to do is we are going to create a lobby and not do qualifying, so we are just going to recreate the standings from qualifying to start the race. Not sure about whether. I guess it's going to be randomized anyway, so let's see how that one goes. I guess I'm getting invited now. Yes, Evil Kiwi is already back on. He's creating the lobby. And we are going to get ourselves ready soon. So, just waiting for everyone. We had 16 drivers, if I'm not mistaken, before. So that is what we are going to have going into the race. I believe we have 15 drivers at the moment. And in terms of the weather, it is dynamic. At least for now, it is dynamic. Let's see how that one goes. Hopefully, it would be it would be kind of troll from Codemasters if there is rain in this race at the start. Of course, the rain shows up quite often at this track in this game, so let's see how that one goes for them. That's obviously going to compromise all the drivers that qualified on the... I mean, most drivers qualified on the mediums anyway, so I guess, yeah. I was thinking about if anyone qualified on the softs and got an advantage, and now they would, because they got the advantage, they would be able to nullify that by not having to start on the softs because it rains, so they would get the advantage of getting the best performance tire on qualifying and also not suffer in the race. But yeah, we're going to find out soon how that one goes. We are waiting for only one driver. And who is that? It is Hammer Time. The American driver isn't in the lobby yet. Hopefully it is in soon. Let's just wait for him to get in. And just waiting for him to get in, and then we're going to get on with things. So yeah, he's the only one missing. Going to Discord real quick. Is I'm going to figure out if he is online or not. Yeah, he is online, so guessing he's just waiting for an invitation or something. Yeah, we still have the 15 drivers here. But yeah, in the meantime, we can talk about the standings, because the intro didn't show up actually the constructor standings. So in terms of the constructor standings, I actually cannot show you guys. Because I need to update some info that I had not updated before. For example, I still have Blackbird counting points towards the Williams, which is not the case anymore since Blackbird has not dropped out, but he got promoted to tier 1 because he was that much quicker than the others. So yeah, his points are still counting towards the Williams team. So yeah, my stuff isn't updated. I'm going to actually bring up the standings from our Discord server. Those are updated, and now I can take a look at them. So we have Ferrari leading the championship with 73 points, 13 ahead of the McLaren team, who follows in P2. Williams only 2 points behind the McLaren team, as we have Toro Rosso in 4th with 40 points. Then we have Haas in 5th with 36, followed by Renault in 6th with 29, Red Bull in 7th with 28, Alfa Romeo in 8th with 24, so not too far away. And then we have Mercedes with 16, 3 points ahead of Racing Point, who are the last place team so far in this championship. So yeah, that is it for the Constructors Championship, and just waiting for our American driver to get back in. So I don't know what's going on with him. Why is Amber Time not in? It is Hammer Time that is missing. Oh, he isn't coming. Oh, that is unfortunate. Don't know what happened, but Hammer Time isn't showing up, unfortunately, for the race. Okay, guess it's not going to be Hammer Time this afternoon. Okay, just bringing up chat in my second monitor. Getting the countdown to the start of the race. I guess we have to wait a bit extra for the moderators to recreate the qualifying positions again. Yeah, going right on to the thick of it with the race. Of course, don't know. Actually, didn't notice if the formation lap was activated. So if it is not, it might get dicey. Nonetheless, hopefully everyone gets through safely through the loading screen. Spax Gamer taking a while. Looks like finally got through, which is nice. And yeah, there you have it. Just waiting for everyone to get through talking with the chefs, just sorting out their strategies. And we are soon ready to go for the start of our Grand Prix. So going to be looking at the race. I'm actually interested in seeing what Rocky can do. Rocky, who has finished 4th in Australia, 3rd at Bahrain, 9th at China after a troubled race, DNF at Azerbaijan, and only a 14th place qualifying performance today, so that's quite disappointing. He has shown that he has the pace to do better than that. So I'm actually quite interested to see if he can summon his inner Alban and do a race from the back with the Red Bull to get some respectable points at the end of it. Let's see though, just a couple seconds until the start. And there you have it. Going to have the formation lap done. Just getting our information available for you guys. And everyone is starting on the mediums apart from Tinko, Iggy and FSKS. They are going for the reverse one stop. Of course, Iggy and FSKS, they just need to stay out of trouble into turn 1, right? And if they can stay out of trouble, first off, they are probably going to be able to capitalize from the trouble of some others. Second, they are going to have the quicker tire later on. Of course, there will be a couple laps. Every single time you pick up the harder tire to start, it hinders you in the way that for a couple laps you are going to be on the harder, older tires, while everybody else will be on the same compound but on much fresher tires. So you are also going to lose time there. So you have to make sure you can either save your tires very nicely to still have pace when it gets to that point, and on top of that you have to make sure that whenever you get to the softer compound you are really bolting it to try to make up that lost time. So everyone is getting back to the grid as we are getting now through the third sector. So you have Comezo on pole, followed by Frankie Pie in P2. Frankie Pie, who has only raced at Azerbaijan, his debut, and got 4th place finish, so not too bad at all from the Croatian. Is going to start today from the front row of the grid. Maybe he can challenge Comezo for the first time. I don't think Comezo has been challenged at any race of the season that he shows up. At Australia, I believe it was a dominating performance, and it was the same again at Azerbaijan. So let's see how it goes from him, and let's see if the Mercedes can challenge the McLaren. Now, everyone is sorted out. Let's get on with it. As we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go for the Spanish Grand Prix. Good start from Comezo, good start from Spax Gamer. Franchuk drops down a little bit. Jonah is already alongside with him. We are having 3 wide as we approach turn 1. But in Vilkui, Bika in blue. Bika gets himself the bravest on the brakes. Frankie on the inside of Pax Gamer is going to become now the outside, but the Mercedes, or the Mercedes pulls through. Franchuk up to P4 once again. Jonah P5 is there. Someone going wide as we have someone dropping down the order. My menu was trolling me there for a little bit, and I believe that, I'm not quite sure that was, maybe it was Evil Kill who drops down to P14 as his teammates drop down to P15. We have FS Gas having a go on the inside of Danny into, sorry, actually it is a go at the inside of Ray Ray into turn number 5. That battle prolongs and there's contact between the Racing Points and the Williams. There's, oh god, that was dicey. As the Racing Point was reversing and is going to collect one of the Toro Rossos. That is Jensen. Very unsafe coming back on the track, or very unsafe rejoin there from FSKS. And Jensen took the brunt of it. Now jumping back to the front, we have Comezo still leading, Frankie Pie in P2, then both Ferraris in P3 and P4. So a realistic display of the Ferrari performances there. As we have Jonah in the second McLaren in P5, you have Bika and Blue about to challenge each other, I would say. Blue is coming himself to the inside of the corners. He has the slipstream, higher top end speed. Let's see how it goes under the brakes. Who is the bravest of them? Looks like Bika went on the brakes later, but Blue is going to get a better exit. It's going to be the inside line now into turn number 3, and he gets the move done. Beautiful maneuver, brilliant maneuver there from Blue to get past his teammate. So very good stuff indeed. Bika, who is a very quick driver. Bika has only taken part of 2 races, Bahrain and China, but when he did, he got P2 on both of them. So unfortunately he wasn't able to show up for Azerbaijan, but he is back, not having the greatest of performances compared to his previous once. P7 for the time being, his teammate just overtook him with a great performance, with a great overtake rather, but nonetheless Bika got him back and he is up to P6 Bika, so hopefully he can start bridging the 5/10 gap that is between him and Jonah in the top 5, and hopefully can start flirting with the top 5 positions as a potential race finishing result. Let's get now started with lap number 2. Comezo does get the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, already 1 second away from Frankie, as both of them are pulling away from the Ferraris, as we have Bika and Blue going at it once again, I believe. No, Bika is actually too far behind at this time around. And we have FSKS overtakes Jensen, because of course Jensen is going to... Oh, actually Jensen is not going to the pits? Wait, who got wing damage? I thought the Toro Rosso had wing damage. Looks like he did not. Looks like Jensen did not get wing... No, never mind. Jensen got through the pits and is back on a new front wing and new tires. FSKS did not get wing damage, curiously enough. So yeah, that's why I was confused there for a second. FSKS did not pit. FSKS did not get damage, which is weird. But yeah, maybe the stewards are going to take a look at that one at the end of the race. So back to the front, Comezo and Frankie Pai are taking the lead as Ziggy has retired from the session. Not sure what happened there. Going to try to take a look at the onboard with FSKS is a couple seconds behind nonetheless. I would like to see how that goes, as Blue looks like he also had a moment somewhere. Iggy has crashed out at turn 9 and Blue has spun. Sorry, it wasn't turn 9, it was about turn 10 I believe. And yes, Blue has spun and is back down to P12. Very unfortunate stuff from the Haas driver. He's actually having a very good spot in P7 if I'm not mistaken. But he has spun and he's dropped the place. Bika in the meantime has jumped Jonah using the RS, got past the McLaren, as we also have Tinko and Danny coming to blows as they approach the exit of turn number 2 into turn 3. Danny gets himself ahead. Ray is also in the top 10, going extremely wide there to turn 3, as you've just witnessed. And we are going to get back to the top 5, as Francesco is still maintaining the gap to his teammate. His teammate though isn't really able to keep up with the 2 cars ahead. Already almost 3-second gap between Specs Gamer and Frankie, who is trying his best to close in on the leader car. So Comezo is not really pulling away from Frankie as much as he would hope, I guess. Nonetheless, Frankie needs to get himself within a second if he wants to get the RS. 1.1 second is the gap at this point. I'm not sure where the detection zone is. Nonetheless, let's see, he's not going to get the RS available to him, unfortunately. And he's going to have to stay with the second place by his name for the time being. A lag moment there from Spax Gamers. Fagiocco takes the slipstream and the Italian pulls through rather easily. Even before the braking zone, he was already ahead of his teammate, and the Italian pulls himself up to a P3. The Italian who got P2 at Azerbaijan, so is looking to extend this podium streak to 2 races. Yeah, that would be pretty nice for him. That would be a nice start to his point scoring season. He didn't score any points at Australia or Bahrain. Sometimes not his fault, but nonetheless it is what it is. And he came back strong at China with a 5th place, 2nd place at Azerbaijan, and currently P3 here at Spain. So hopefully the start of a successful season for the Ferrari driver. Jonah in P6 has started to lose ground to Bika, who's starting to catch up to the Ferraris. So we're going to find out real soon if Bika can climb a few places. 9/10 is the gap at the moment. So it's now dropped down to 8. I'm not sure if Bika is going to be able to overtake. It looks to me like he's too far away. He might get the RS, but Spax Gamer will also get the RS from the Italian teammate. So let's try to take a look. Mode number 4 of DRS. DRS wide open at the back, and let's see if he starts closing in on his teammate or not. He does close in, but not too much. So Fragiocco having a much better exit out of the last corner, and the gap is now only about 7/10. So yeah, not much gain there as Tinko and Rocky are coming to blows. The Hungarian is trying to get himself up to P8, gets now the inside of turn number 3 and does get the move done as Ray has a massive mistake. Ray is in the wall and the Spaniard is out of the race. At his homegrown prey, what a shame. He was actually doing very well. He was sorting himself out for a potential points paying position to get himself the first points of the season, and we have a safety car out on track. Safety car has been deployed as the home boy for today's race is out of the Grand Prix. Not sure what happened to him, not sure if that was a puncture or what happened, but he went straight on at turn 3 into the wall, and that is race over for the Williams driver. So race is going to be nullified at this point. Evil Kiwi gets a drive-through penalty for spinning under safety car, so the Toro Rosso's day goes from bad to worse. They had already gotten a very bad start, as at one point Jensen and Evil Kiwi were the last 2 spots of the pack of the grid, and now Evil Kiwi was recovering, and now he gets a drive-through penalty for speeding under the safety car conditions. Very, very unfortunate. A few cars on the pits. I wasn't actually expecting that. We actually have a few cars coming into the pits. The Ferraris are going to stack. Fairchoke and Spax Gamer are going to change for the yards, and they are going to stack their cars. I was expecting the medium runners to pit later on. I'm not sure if the yards are going to be able to take it for this long. I was expecting them to pit at lap 14. So, are they going hards and then softs towards the end of the race? Not sure. But maybe that could be the case. They are doing the pit stop now. The leaders have not pitted, so they are going to lose 1 pit stop. The rivals are going to have fresher tires, and then the leaders that haven't pitted will do their pit stop, and then at the end, the guys who were already ahead because they gained the pit stop are going to pit stop again, not lose as much time, and then bolt on a set of softs to push towards the end of the race. Maybe that's the strategy, but yeah, actually very well played from those who pit stopped. Fragioco is the leader out of those, and Fragioco may have very well just put himself in a condition to win the Spanish Grand Prix. We're going to find out rather soon, but it's definitely something to look at in the laps to come. Spax Gamer got himself stats, drops down to P11. I guess this is better than not pitting and then getting your entire race compromised. At this point, he's taking himself out of the fight even for top 5 perhaps, but nonetheless. Ooh, the traffic is getting intense now at this point. Going to try to take a look. Will any of the guys pit this time? No one is pitting. Evil Kiwi, they're having a moment. Actually going to the grass, I'm guessing to avoid Stinko, to prevent any lag incidents. But yeah, at this point of the safety car, I would recommend everyone to just step further back from each other. Like, at this point of the safety car, just give 2 car lengths to everyone. Doesn't really matter. There's an entire lap until the safety car goes into the pit, so 2 car lengths would solve many of the potential issues that come from the online races under these conditions, so in safety car conditions. As you can see, yeah, everyone is quite punched up. The safety car can slow down unexpectedly too much, or you can overestimate the speed at which the safety car is going through a corner, and then you have to slam to jump on the brakes, and then everyone behind you is not only going to have to do the same, but they have closer or little and little time to react. Because you had to react to the slowing down of the safety car, then everyone has to react from the car ahead. And of course, we are humans, we have delay in our reaction time. And yeah, it comes to a point where you basically cannot avoid anyone. And then you are in the back of them, damage front wing, you have to pit anyways. And then you are going to get a penalty as well for causing a collision. So safety car is in this lap, according to race control. Evil Kiwi is going to be forced onto a trip through the pit lane. A drive-through penalty for him for exceeding the speed limit. Now going to see Camazo is going to bunch up the pack. Going to be interesting to see when he chooses to actually get on with it. Let's see how it goes though. going to get restarted with the race rather soon. It's going to get green flag conditions, I suppose, right after this chicane. And there you have it, Camenzo bolts it after the chicane. Frankie Bai loses a couple car lengths. We have Danny in P3 of already Evil Kiwi getting himself through the pits. I wasn't sure it would be able to serve the drive to penalty right away, but nonetheless, that's what he did. Let's see, are there going to be any changes of positions? We have Rocky pressurizing Jonah into turn number 1. He's going to take it down the inside. Looks like he is outbraking the McLaren. There's contact and he's spun. And Rocky, please avoid the wall. And he's done it. He's been able to avoid the wall. And there goes Evil Kiwi around. But that was unfortunate. I would have hoped them to get through that one cleanly. Unfortunately, that happens, and Rocky is down to the back of the pack. P13 for the Hungarian for the time being. Jumping back to the front, we have Camenzo leading and already starting to pull away from Danny P. Danny gets himself P3 for the time being on those lap old mediums. Then we have Tinko in P4 on the hards, closing in on the Williams. Not close enough to try anything though, just yet. Then we have Blue in P5, a couple seconds, not a couple seconds, but is it? Yeah, that looks like it is 8 tenths. I was actually looking at the numbers wrong. It is 8 tenths separating him from Tinko in P4. Fragioco is the leader out of those cars that have pitted. So let's see, will he overtake the car ahead this time around? I don't think the RS is enabled just yet. Looks like it's not. The RS isn't enabled yet. Frankie Pai has lost 1 second to Camenzo, but Danny has lost even further, almost 2 seconds, the gap between the Williams and the Mercedes. And now Tinko on the Alfa Romeo is going to try to maybe give the favor back to Danny. Danny, who overtook him using the RS a couple laps ago, a couple laps before the safety car, and now it is Tinko pressurizing Danny, and at this point at least potentially getting back into a podium paying position. Blue isn't losing too much time to cars ahead. Fragioco isn't quite able to have a look at overtaking the Haas. It's going to stick in P6 for the time being. Bika not too far behind that hole, and Bika is very fast, as we've seen in previous races. Not the same qualifying performance I was expecting from him. Nonetheless, the Dutch driver is going to be torn by the Italian side, as Fragioco is going to try to pull this one home. I'm not sure if these drivers are going to take the hards to the end of the race, or if they are going to pit later on for a set of softs. The truth is, Camenzo got the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. The RS is finally enabled, not yet for the cars on track though. But Camenzo is really pushing it. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix already, 1.5 seconds to Frankie. He knows that he kind of screwed himself by not going into the pits. Evil Kiwi goes into the pits now to get rid of his 10 lap old mediums. Of course, everyone that was racing on mediums is going to be able to take their laps a little bit further, their tires a little bit further, because of course they were pushing them while they were under safety car conditions. So that helps them a little bit. Evil Kiwi is going to swap first a new set of tires, even though the game didn't tell me which set of tires he's currently on. I'm actually going to take a look at him, as we have already DRS enabled at the back of some of these cars, but the straight is quite limited. Evil Kiwi, wasn't he to the pits? Did he also have to serve a drive-through penalty? Not sure, but he apparently continues on 10 lap old mediums. So let's see how that one develops. Jumping back to Bika, who has prime seat in the house for witnessing Fragioco trying to get rid of his teammate. I'm not sure if he's trying to be a plug to allow Bika to get a better run through the last corner. It worked nevertheless, and Bika is going to have double slipstream of the Haas and the Ferrari. Fragioco is going to be forced onto the outside. Let's see, he's going to outbrake Blue. He's going to outbrake Blue. Bika is also going to try to have a go around the outside of his teammate. Not enough. And Blue is going to hold P6 for the time being. Looks like there are no team orders here at Haas, and Fragioco is going to pull away with P5. Blue is obviously going to start struggling on those 11 lap old tires. He still has theoretically 3 more laps to do on those, as Bika throws it around the outside. Let's see if he gets the traction to get past. Looks like he did get a better exit, and yes, blue is through. Bika has lost a couple tenths to the Italian driver, but looks like he hasn't lost enough to deny him DRS. No, he hasn't. He's going to get DRS on the Ferrari, and he's going to close in quite a bit, because the Ferrari did not get DRS on Tinko. Tinko, who on his turn is... Oh, you have Jonah getting past... Specs Gamer getting past Jonah into turn number 10. So, unexpectedly, it looks like Jonah had a bit of a mistake coming out of turn 9 and has dropped a place. But on his turn, we have Tinko trying to overtake Danny. He's going to get DRS, going to go on board with him to look at the closing speed from the Alfa Romeo to the Williams. The Williams is going to stick it to the outside. Let's see who is the last of the late breakers, and it is the Alfa Romeo. Got himself a little bit deep on the corner. Nonetheless, he gets through, moves up to P3, and yeah, just gives the favor back to Danny by overtaking him. Specs Gamer gets a 3-second time penalty for one too many corner extensions. Not really respectful of the track limits, and gets slapped in the wrist. In the meantime, we also had Jensen and FSKS. FSKS is in the wall! FSKS in the wall coming out of turn number 3. Not sure if that was caused by contact with Toro Rosso. Nonetheless, FSKS is in the wall, and he has considerable amounts of damage, and is going to bring it to the pits for replacement for sure. Bika has been able to close in on Fra Gioco. Gioco finally started getting DRS on the cars ahead, as I'm sure those cars are starting to struggle a little bit with their tire wear. Apart from Tinko, who has at least 8 more laps to go, at least theoretically 8 more laps to go on those hards. Of course, they are not as quick as 6-lap-old hards, but nonetheless, it's going to be... Oh, Danny having a bit of a tank slapper there. FSKS dropping a place to Rocky, because of course FSKS is still nursing his damage. But Fragioco did get a much better exit there. He's going to have DRS. Danny Coe is having the same. Let's see how it goes. Is the Italian going to lunge himself around the outside of turn 1? Yes, he does. He pinches the Williams into the inside. There might be a switchback from the Williams. No, there is not. And Fragioco moves up to P4, and this is important for him, as FSKS gets a 5-second speed penalty, or speeding in the pit lane penalty. So his day goes from bad to even worse. But nonetheless, this is important for the Italian, because the Italian, Bika is trying to have a go around the outside of the Williams, just like he had done on his teammates in the previous lap. Let's see, he's going to get the traction this time around. Looks like he is not. And Danny is going to deny him the opportunity. Danny is going to keep himself in P5. And that attempt only has delayed him. He looks like he's very much quicker than Danny through turn 9. He was absolutely glued to his rear diffuser. Nonetheless, not close enough to try and overtaking maneuver. A little bit of a tank slapper there as well. And yeah, this is definitely not helping him, despite the fact that Danny Coe looks like he's not going to be able to have DRS to his name, as the gap is over a second between Danny and Fragioco. Nonetheless, Bika is going to have an easier time overtaking Danny. Danny's actually going to the pits, so yeah, that's definitely going to be an easier time from Bika to overtake the Williams. Nonetheless, look at the time he has already lost. Blue is also in the pits. Let's take a look. There's 2 seconds of a gap between Fragioco and the Dutchman. The Italian wasn't really able to overtake the Dutch driver of the Alfa Romeo, so he's going to have to wait for the next approach into turn 1, of course, unless Tinko has a mistake at some point of the race. Camezo has not extended the lead. Oh, as there's a mistake, a bit of counter steering there from Fragioco. Nonetheless, great save. But that's going to help Bika quite a bit. 1.1 seconds is the gap between them. And Fragioco needs to start getting himself focused, because he needs to keep up with the DRS and the slipstream of Tinko if he wants to be able to not lose time to Bika, because we've shown how quick Bika is in previous races. And once again, Fragioco has a chance to win this Grand Prix. Fragioco is the leader out of the drivers that pitted under the safety car, and he might be on his way to take the win. Again, I'm not sure if the hard runners can take the hard tires from their pit stop under the safety car to the end of the Grand Prix, or if they are going to have to switch to the softs at the end. Nonetheless, it is a great opportunity for Fragioco to get himself a win, especially as Comanzo and Frankie are going to pit soon. The normal pit window for the mediums would be lap 14, but of course with the safety car appearance it's going to be a little bit better than that. The tires weren't as pushed through the 2-3 laps where the safety car was out there, so it's going to be a little bit later, the pit window for those guys who haven't pitted just yet, for both the medium runners and the hards. There's also Jensen and Stinko who haven't pitted yet while being on the yards. So Stinko and Jensen, I would say they can pit at about lap 21, 22, right, and do 10 laps on mediums, or maybe even try to get a set of softs that far. But yeah, at this point, the guys who have pitted under the safety car have a big opportunity to get a win today. Let's see how that one develops as Comanzo and Frankie Pie go into the pits. Comanzo, of course, has good enough of a lead to not get jumped, and Fragioco is going to get the run. He's going to get the DRS on the back of his car, wide open. Let's see how it goes. He's going to be able to overtake the Alfa Romeo even before the first braking zone. Let's see, he's going to pull off to the inside, going hard on the brakes. There's contact between the two of them, but he's not really able to pull it off. He's going to have to be happy or to contain himself with P2 for the time being. Bika is still over 1 second behind, crucially for the Italian, and now it is Pax Gamer as the German has started to close in on the Dutch driver. Blue has finally gotten past Danny into turn 1. Those two have pitted at the same lap, and they are close in terms of their pace. Blue has been able to overtake Danny, and Comanzo and Frankie Pie, of course. The gap has extended, so the McLaren mechanics working a bit better than the Mercedes ones. The gap is now 2.1 seconds, and Comanzo is going to be on fresh tires. Frank as well, so he's going to have a pace advantage, especially as everyone is still bunched up ahead. But of course, Fragioco and the others, they might be able to take these tires until the end of the Grand Prix. If not, they are going to be on much fresher tires towards the end. So yeah, be on the lookout for those, as Tinko leads once again. Mode number 4 of ERS for him. A bit of a mistake from Fragioco in the previous corner as Bika has closed up, and that has also denied a chance for Pax Gamer to challenge the Dutchman. And actually that really doesn't help Fragioco, because if Pax Gamer was able to battle Bika, that would give breathing room once again for the Italian of the Ferrari, but that didn't happen. So now he's going to have to pay attention to not only Tinko ahead, but to his mirrors, as the black blob of Bika's car is certainly feeling them at this point. And we have a race, ladies and gentlemen. We have a race. We might even have a race for the lead, because of course Comanzo, who's pulling away from Frankie, Comanzo is going to catch up to his rivals, and his rivals might be able to defend quite fiercely. Of course, it's 4 positions, so they don't have to get out of the way. So Comanzo might get his race compromised because of the traffic. Let's see though how it develops, as we have once again gotten past lap number 16 to start another lap. Lap number 19 is underway now, and Fragioco is going to have a run at Tinko. Is it going to be enough? Doesn't look like so, and Tinko once again being able to defend. A bit of a complaint from one of his right tires as he approached turn 1. Ooh, a bit of a moment there from Fragioco. His car seems rather unstable at some points of the track today. So that's really costing him dearly. He's not really able to... He would probably be able to get past Tinko already if he didn't have a moment into turn 5 about 3 or 4 laps ago. It wasn't how the cookie crumbled, and now Fragioco has to stay put in P2 for the time being. Very close, this top 4. Jonah isn't far back at all, as Comanzo has a go at Jensen into turn 7 and 8 and overtakes our reigning world champion. of course, the Dane of the Toro Rosso does have DRS, but isn't really going to be able to do anything about it because the straight is too short, and it is a 15-second gap between the tires. Not 15 second, 15 lap gap in of the usage of the tires between Comenzo and Jensen. Comenzo has shown to be quicker on Jensen on equal circumstances, let alone when Jensen has 15 laps older tires. Pax Gamer is going to the pits. He's going to bolt on a set of the softs. He doesn't want to be held up on traffic there, and he's just going to get himself moving on a new set of mediums, trying to get the undercut on his rivals that have pitted during the safety car. And of course Jensen doing the same. Comenzo and Frankie Pie move up, and of course that's going to help him quite a bit. Jonah, Bika, Fragioco and Tinko are now composing the top 4, and Jonah is 2 seconds behind the top 3. Of course, he just needs to be there once the drivers start battling each other, and he's going to be right up with them for the podium pin position. So don't go anywhere, we still have a race in our hands. Let's see how that one goes as Bika gets close to Fragioco, but not close enough to pull off a maneuver. Fragioco might have an opportunity, and no, he does not. Tinko was able to recover control of his car quickly enough, as Danny gets a 3-second time penalty, unfortunately for him, currently in P10, but he is 6 seconds away of Jensen behind him, so at least for the time being, not much is lost. Tinko is finally going to the pits, and Fragioco is finally going to have a release order to get himself to the lead of the Grand Prix, as Tinko exceeds the limit entering the pits and gets a penalty. Comenzo and Frankie Pie are going to get promoted positions freely once again, because Jonah is also going to the pits for a fresh set of mediums. I'm actually interested in seeing if Spax Gamer is going to get the jump on them. Rocky has gotten past. Where is Spax Gamer? He is coming. He's gotten past Jonah. Is he going to get past Cinco? No, he does not. But he is very close indeed, and we are going to have a battle for P6 in the laps to come, I expect. Rocky is also having to pit in about 5 laps time, maybe for a set of softs, because of course I believe he was he was one of those drivers who pitted under the safety car, but he got involved in a collision with one of his rivals on the restart, so he spun. He didn't get damaged, but he spun, and he's trying to recover ever since. Jonah gets jumped by Blue. They are still side by side coming out of turn 5 and 6 as we now get through 7 and 8. There's also Danico very close behind them, going on board with the Williams as they get through turn number 9. Let's see, Blue is going to get DRS on his rival. It's going to be enough. Not enough for the time being to get an attempt pulled off. But of course we're going to wait for the start of the next lap. Bika has DRS on Fragioco, but he also has depleted his battery pretty much, so he's not really going to be able to ever go at the Italian. And it looks like Bika has possibly made a mistake through the last corner, because he has now over 1 second gap, of course mitigated a little bit because of the DRS. Nonetheless, he is over 1 second away from Fragioco, and Comenzo is only 5 seconds behind. So Comenzo and Frankie Pie, despite not pitting during the safety car, looks like they're going to be able to still be the guys to beat. Frankie Pie has been able to close up a little bit on Comenzo, because Comenzo had to deal with a few cars that Frankie Pie has not, but nonetheless, looks like Comenzo is still in control of the Grand Prix. He also has much higher ERS amount available, or more energy available on his battery than the Mercedes, who is using mode number 1 of ERS for the entirety of sector 3. Comenzo is actually on mode 0, so in terms of the management of the resources, Comenzo even has the advantage on that side of things. Bika is definitely having a moment somewhere, as Comenzo gets a new fastest lap of the Grand Prix. But yeah, Bika definitely having a moment somewhere along the way, because Fragioco is now 2.5 seconds. Once again, I do not know if the hard runners have to pit once again. Rocky, Bika and Fragioco, will they have to pit once again? I am not sure about that one. If they pit, I would imagine them to pit for softs at this point. Camenzo and Frankie, they are outright quicker, and now they have 10 laps of advantage. Let's see, it's going to definitely be tricky, but the safety car happened at lap 7 if I'm not mistaken, and they pitted then. So I would guess these drivers have to take how many laps? We have 10 laps to go, so 26 laps of hards to the end. So it's definitely going to be a stretch, not sure if that is possible. I've seen people go on 20 laps on hards, because of course that is the strategy, the normal theoretical strategy for if you start on the hards then to go on 20 laps. But of course these drivers, as Bika bails out of the chicane that time, no penalty applied, but as I was going to say, the safety car, you are not pushing right away on these tires, so I can consider that and give them a 22 tire stint, a 22 lap stint on hards for them to have to pit. And then on top of that, the cars are lighter, so they don't put as much pressure on the rubber by their sheer weight, right? So maybe you can extend the tires to lap 24, because they are lighter, and they have to do 26. So if you are good enough on your tires, I guess you can push them to 26, but it's certainly going to be a stretch, and we are going to be here to figure out if that is possible or not. Bika is definitely struggling with them. Camenzo is 2.5 seconds away from Bika, who is 2.5 seconds away from Fragilco. Frankie Pai is also 2.5 seconds behind the McLaren, as we have yellow flags in Sector 3. Trying to find out who it was. It is Evil Kiwi, the Czech driver, having an absolute mare of a race, and is getting himself his day going from bad to worse, and is still racing, so props to him, because I can understand the frustration. He's absolutely fighting for nothing at this point, and at least he didn't get damage. Maybe he's just hoping for another safety car. I would on his shoes as well, but yeah, at least he's not giving up on the race. But both Toro Rossos not really fighting for anything at this point. I mean, Jensen can get the top 10, because then he has a 3-second time penalty if I'm not mistaken, but nonetheless it's certainly going to be difficult for the Toro Rossos to get some solid points this afternoon. Jumping back to Camenzo, quicker than Bika for the time being, already gained half a second compared to these exact points last lap, and Camenzo isn't really pushing that hard. He's still maintaining his battery charge, and yeah, he's has just under 10 laps to go. I don't feel like he's in any sort of rush to take the guys ahead. He can push whenever he wants to, so I'm pretty sure he's not pushing at this point, because he just wants to conserve his tires for when he needs to pull the trigger to have the traction, right? And also have enough battery to deploy whatever ERS mode he needs at that specific point. As we have Evil Kiwi maybe giving DRS. No, he didn't give DRS. Evil Kiwi did not give DRS, and is going rather slowly, Evil Kiwi, to letting his rivals that are lapping him past. Frankie Pai is too far away from the McLaren at this point, and the McLaren is 1 second away from Bika, so soon he's going to start getting DRS and the slipstream. That's going to help him get closer to the Italian driver up ahead of the Ferrari. Valiant effort from those guys by pitting under the safety car conditions, and now trying to make it work, stretching the tires. So commendable effort, but at the end looks like Camenzo is just that quick. Frankie Pai, I'm not sure if he's going to be able to catch up with them. So that's how quick Camenzo is. If Camenzo didn't have that extra lead, that extra gear, it's clearly quicker than most of the field. Every single race he has attended, he has won. He has only taken part of 2 races, and he's the championship leader. So that shows how good he is, but nonetheless, if it was Frankie Pai alone, not sure if he's going to be able to catch to the top 2, but Camenzo having a mistake at the chicane. Nonetheless, it is just over a second. The gap has just dropped it. We have yellow flags in sector 3. Was that blue? Blue was having a moment in the same spot where he did at the opening laps of the race. Once again, losing traction into turn 11. Those curbs are deadly, and he hasn't respected them, especially after his first incident out into P11, out of the top 10. Is the Haas driver. Very unfortunate. Once again, he's not going to be able to score any points, and once again he's matching his best finishing position of 11th. Jensen jumps up to P10 and might be able to get Danny. I'm not sure if Jensen has any penalties to his name. Danny has 3 seconds to his name. Bika has closed up on Fragioko by 3/10. It's not much, but Fragioko needs to conserve ERS, and yeah, Camenzo is going to be pressurizing Bika quite hard until the beginning of our DRS zone. So as you can see, Camenzo is glued to the back of the Dutchman, and the British driver is going to get through the chicane very close to the Haas. Let's get now to turns 14 and 15. Let's see. Of course, Camenzo, he has fresh tires, but he can still do a mistake. Let's see who gets the best exit. Bika looks like he had the best acceleration there. Camenzo gets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix and is going to get DRS. Once again, mode number 4 of ERS, and is going to get past him very easily, even before the braking zone. He is past the Dutchman, and I'm actually interested to see if the Dutchman can try to fight back. He needs to recover some ERS, needs to recover some energy urgently. So he's not really going to have much to try to keep up with Camenzo, but if he does keep up with the British driver, he can start getting the slipstream and DRS, and at the same time save ERS. So we have yellow flags in sector 2. Not sure who is causing that one. Maybe it is Evil Kiwi letting a rival lap him. No, Evil Kiwi has actually lost it. Where is this? I can't. Turn 5. No, turn 4, sorry. This is the exit of turn 4, and yeah, Evil Kiwi is out of the track, so big mistake from him, as Camenzo is also getting ever closer to the rear wing of that Ferrari. The gap is 1.3 seconds at this point, and it is not even remotely breaking a sweat. It's not concerned in any way, shape or form. Another fastest lap of the Grand Prix, 120.0, so blistering fast pace from the McLaren, and it's going to be hunting him down. Bika already out of the DRS range, 1.5 seconds separate him from the McLaren. Frankie Pie might be able to catch up to Bika. Of course, the gap is 10 laps, so just on tire wear alone, I would expect Frankie to have the advantage. Not sure if he's going to be able to overtake. Spax Gamer and Tinko are coming to blows, coming out of turn 2 and into turn 3. The Ferrari has the inside line. Tinko gets a bit squeezed onto the AstroTurf on the exit. Not as much grip there, and Tinko is going to have to concede P6 and is going to have to settle with P7 for the time being. Of course, it's close enough to be able to strike back in the laps to come. Still have 4 laps of racing, so let's see how that one goes. As Fragioko as Camenzo glued to his rear. Let's see how it goes now. Let's see what kind of third sector the British driver has. We're going on board with him as Tinko gets a 3-second time penalty, which is rather unfortunate. Jensen also gets another 3-second time penalty. So that if he, not another, but a 3-second time penalty. So if he wants to get P9, he needs to overtake Danny on track. Mode number 4 of DRS. DRS wide open at the back of the McLaren. Fragioko is going to pull off to the inside. Let's use the last of light breakers into turn number 1. Will Camenzo gets through, and yeah, clean maneuver. As clean as you like to see, and he gets through up to the lead of the Grand Prix once again. Very unfortunate. Tinko, Fragioko had a mistake. It didn't allow him to overtake Tinko right away, and then Tinko was just able to hold themselves up. If Fragioko was able to get rid of Tinko a bit quicker, he would probably win the Grand Prix, but he lost so much time battling with the Alfa Romeo that Camenzo has just been able to retake the lead. Valiant effort from Fragioko and Bika to take the hard tires for this long, but they are probably at the end of their lifespan, and 23 laps is not fun to drive on on these tires. That's for sure. Let's see how it goes for Frankie now, as he is still closing in on Bika. The gap is less than a second. Also Rocky, as Rocky is also on the hards, is also one of those drivers who didn't pit since the safety car. Pitted at the safety car and hasn't pitted since, so Spax Gamer might be able to get P5. Let's see how it goes. Camenzo gets another fastest lap, a sub 20-second lap from him, and Frankie Pie is going to have the RS wide open. He's going to brake. It's not going to be as clean as Camenzo's overtake maneuver nonetheless. Bika just letting the Mercedes through, and maybe Bika is thinking about fighting back on Frankie, because of course Frankie, he has been able to sort of keep up with Camenzo, but he's definitely not as fast. So Bika might have let the Mercedes get through for the Dutch to be able to respond later on. Fragiuco is keeping himself within a second of Camenzo though, so maybe Fragiuco can strike back soon. He's going to get DRS. He's actually not going to mode number 0 of DRS, which is a mistake, I would say. He's actually on mode number 2, a bit of a mismanagement of DRS, and looks like, oh sorry, a mismanagement of ERS, and it looks like, just like Azerbaijan, Camenzo is going to take the win in front of the Italian. Let's see how it goes. Fragiuco, I imagine he has DRS available to him. Does he not? No, he does not. He had a poor transition through the last chicane and he lost out on DRS. And yeah, there goes any chances of him claiming the win. Bika already over a second behind, so also not benefiting of DRS. Frankie Pie might be able to still take P2. Let's see how it goes. Frankie got 4th place at his debut at Azerbaijan, and Jensen unfortunately getting another penalty. I'm not sure if he has more penalties than Danny or not at this point. I'm not sure if Blue has any penalties by his name, so Blue might actually be able to retake 10th place. Nonetheless, going to have Frankie trying to close in on the Italian driver of the Ferrari, as he is looking for his first podium finish of the season. So let's see how that one develops. I guess he is guaranteed to get P3 unless he does any mistakes. As we are about to start the last lap of this Grand Prix, the gap from P2 to P1 is already 1.8 seconds. So Camenzo would have to make an uncharacteristic mistake in order to lose out, or in order to throw away the win, basically, at this point. Spax Gamer is also very close to Rocky, and of course Rocky is also about to start 26 lap old hards, so Spax Gamer might have a quite easy time overtaking Rocky. Of course, Spax Gamer is also on the last legs of his tires, but he's going to get DRS, mode number 4 of DRS from the back of his Ferrari power unit. Let's see how it goes. He actually sells the dummy there, faking the inside to go to the outside. There's contact between him and Rocky. Rocky had to do a bit of counter steering maneuver there to avoid spinning. But nonetheless, Spax Gamer does claim the last of the top 5 points at the beginning of the last lap. Camenzo going to stroll on his way home. EU as really just having a demolishingly quick performance, qualified on pole by a biggest margin to the car behind than anybody else on the grid, or at least in the top 10. Then he was able to pull away from lights out, maintain his leads. Then the safety car happened, threw a soft ball at him, but nonetheless he kept himself calm and composed, kept on his strategy, and there you have it. Camenzo is going to cross over the line to take home the win of the Spanish Grand Prix. In the meantime, Spax Gamer and Rocky are coming to blows. Rocky has been able to overtake the Ferrari close to the end, and let's see, a little bit of a squirmy exit from the Ferrari. Is going to have to concede to Tinko. What an opportunistic maneuver right on the line, and Tinko is going to overtake him nonetheless. He has the 5-second time penalty, and the Ferrari claims P7. Tinko drops down to P8 as both cars got a penalty. Jonah gets himself up to P6. So yeah, Fragioco in P2, Frankie Pi P3, Bika P4, Rocky P5, John P6, Spax Gamer P7, Tingo P8, Danny P9, Blue P10, Jensen, yeah, as I was predicting, Jensen actually lost out to a Blue, as we have FSKS and Evil Kiwi is going to get through the race done on a set of soft tires. FSKS getting the penalty, but of course that really doesn't change anything because he was so far ahead from the car behind and so far behind the car ahead. And we have Jensen, not Jensen, Evil Kiwi as the last of the drivers to complete the race distance, finishing with a 13th place today. So very disappointing performance from both Toro Rossos nonetheless. Moving on to the podium, and there you have it, second win in a row. Every single race this guy shows up, he basically wins. One at Australia, didn't show up for Bahrain or China, comes back to Azerbaijan, takes the win, and takes the win here today at Spain. So great performance from him. Once again, Fragioco has to see the McLaren just pull away, and the Italian has nothing to be able to respawn. Unfortunately, second place in a row for Fragioco, which is still commendable, but nonetheless, I'm pretty sure he went to that win. And in P3, we have Frankie Pi with his best performance to date. He got P4 at Azerbaijan. At Spain, he claims the last of the podium paint positions. Then we have Bika in P4, Rocky in P5. Then we have Jonah in P6, as it is. Yeah, it is his best performance so far. Spax Gamer in P7, Tinko in P8, Danny in P9, and Blue closes the top 10. For the first time, the Haas driver claims a point. Then we have Jensen in P11, his worst results to date. FSKS in P12, Evil Kiwi closes in P13, also his worst performance to date. So yeah, very disappointing day for the Toro Rossos. This is it, guys. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, give me a like button. If you did not, the dislike button is, as always, right beside it. Subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit the bell icon for any notifications of whenever we are about to start a live stream or to post a video. Hope to see you guys next time, and have a wonderful day. Goodbye.